Hey, this is Kris with a release technique. Now, what do you know about freedom? What do you know about realization? Or what have you learned about it? Now, if you're like me, you've read all sorts of wonderful teachings by Lester, by other great ones like Eckhart Tolle, Yogananda, Ramana Maharshi, just to name a few. But if you're like me, a lot of times when you read this stuff, you just kind of take it in intellectually. Of course, there's part of it that really resonates deep within you. It just kind of wakes up an inner knowingness. However, if you can't demonstrate it, actually demonstrate what these great ones are talking about, and come from that same knowledge that they're coming from, then how valuable is it? I mean, it points you in the right direction, but here's the thing is a lot of us, we just stop with that intellectual knowledge. And I'm the first to admit that when we get into this place where we just are coming from it intellectually, we act so smart about it. You know, we tell others about it, we pass this information along like it's this wonderful thing, and this is what I know about it. But if you don't step beyond that and really integrate it into your core knowledge that you can actually demonstrate, then it really doesn't change your life that much. It may inspire you, but inspired isn't being free. In fact, inspired is actually a holdback. It's really assigning your happiness on this knowledge rather than really taking all of your happiness directly from inside of you. And it's inside of you where all that knowledge is really coming out of. And when you can tap into that, then you can demonstrate these results and put them into practice. So this is the point that I'm bringing up. And it's really a challenge. What are you willing to do to take Lester's knowledge and the knowledge of all the great ones and really understand that deep within where you could demonstrate it in your world, put it into practice, and get real tangible results? Now, would you be willing to let go of your intellectual knowledge so that it's just totally intuitive? Now, I want to share something that I've always felt was an advantage of mine as I learned this method. You see, when I grew up, I was exposed to all sorts of really deep spiritual practices, but I tried them. I tried meditating, and I was always waiting for this big experience to happen. And when it didn't, I just said, well, that's worthless to me because I can't prove it. Nothing happened. So, so what? And that was my attitude. So I didn't fill myself up with a bunch of knowledge about, spirituality and any of this stuff. But when I first learned the method, I just followed the bouncing ball. And I didn't know any of this stuff, but as I practiced releasing, all this stuff just kind of came in on me. And then later on, when I started hanging around with more spiritual people and different practices and started being exposed to these teachings, when I'd hear this stuff and people talk about different states and realizations, I knew exactly what they were talking about. I didn't have these labels that everybody has, but I knew exactly what it was because I'd experienced it myself. And that's the greatest thing you can do. So, what if that knowledge that you have in your head is holding you back from really living it and knowing it deep within in every cell of your body? And would you be willing to let go of that knowledge so you can integrate that understanding into your beingness fully? Now, it really takes an act of courageousness, and it really takes a big commitment to do this work. to keep releasing, to keep letting go, so that this knowledge inherently just falls in on you. So right now, this knowledge that you have in your head, whatever it is that you know about freedom, about realization, just get a picture of something that you know about it right now, something that you've learned about it. Maybe it's something that Lester said, or something that Eckhart Tolle said, and you're repeating it and it sounds good, but it's only in your mind. Now get a picture of that. And whatever it is that you know about it, could you let that go? That picture in your head. Could you just allow that picture to evaporate and dissolve? And could you allow it to evaporate and dissolve even more? And even more. And even more. And could you let go of this knowledge that you have in your head? And could you let this go even more? And even more. And even more. And could you just drop this knowledge? Could you actually allow yourself to know nothing about it? And more. And see if that brings up some fear and uncertainty. Well, wait a minute, I don't want to let this knowledge go, because then I'll just lose the whole thing. At least the knowledge is pointing me in the right direction. Well, it's really, to some degree, it will point you in the right direction, but after a certain point, it's holding you back from living it and knowing it intuitively. See, when you know it, and you know you know it, and you're taking all of your knowledge from your intuition, from beingness, you don't need to hold on to anything in your mind. That's just static information, dead information. Even though it sounds good, it's just static, dead information in your mind. So could you just surrender this stuff right now, once and for all? And give yourself permission to know nothing about realization. And could you drop this knowledge even more? And even more. And if you have fear or resistance to doing this, just welcome that up. It's just a feeling. Say yes to that fear, that uncertainty. And say yes to it even more. Or if you have resistance, kind of like an F you, I'm not going to let that go. I'm pretty smart knowing that. Well, can you welcome out that resistance? How does that resistance help you? And just say yes to that resistance. And say yes to it even more. And even more. And now just get a picture of your mind. Really, your mind is your singular obstacle to this realization. If you have no mind, you would see clearly who you are. You see clearly what the world is, and there'd be no limitation. You could do anything in an instant. So get a picture of your mind, whatever that means to you. And could you allow that picture to evaporate and dissolve? And more. And even more. And get a picture of your body. And we all think that we're this body. And that's the biggest mistake. Could you let that go? so you could discover who and what you really are. Get a picture of your body. Whatever that looks like to you. And could you allow that picture to evaporate and dissolve? And more. And more. See, the problem with identifying with the body is that it stirs up all of our desires. All of our desires of wanting everybody's approval. Hey, look at how great this body is. And all of our fears. We run around trying to protect this body. And it's what's keeping us a slave to a lot of the work that we don't like doing. Of course, we must keep on doing it in order to keep this body surviving. And all of our limitations come out of being a limited body. So just get a picture of your body and allow that picture to evaporate and dissolve. And more. And even more. And now ask yourself, if I'm not my mind, if I'm not my body, what am I? And just take what you get. Just take whatever comes to you. And whatever is coming to you right now, could you just surrender to this answer? Whatever it is. There's no right or wrong answer. Just take what you get and just surrender to it. And more. And even more. And even more. And just notice what you're experiencing now. Are you? Are you? Notice your answer. Are you? And just notice what you're experiencing. So reading about this stuff from these great ones is wonderful. At least it points us in the right direction. We probably wouldn't be where we are right now had we not been exposed to that. But it's time to drop it, because you could fill your mind up with all the knowledge about this subject and more, and it won't get you there. It's something that can only be experienced. And you do it by not filling yourself up, but emptying yourself out. So again, what would you be willing to do to make this knowledge your knowledge? And what that requires is a commitment to let go and keep undoing all of the thoughts and feelings that pull us in the wrong direction. That is everything that we are not. Once you let go of what you are not, then what you are is obvious. You don't need somebody else to tell you that, because you know it. So if you really want to experience what you are, and you're ready to do it now, then join us for the 7-day Lester's Way retreat, where we're going to really come from a place of quiet and a quiet understanding within our own souls about who it is that we are. And you can join in, and you can really dive deep into letting go of all of the false images that you have of yourself, all the false concepts. And ultimately, everything in your mind is false. And what we're going to do is show you how to knock all of that out in a very deep way. So what you're left with is only who and what you are. And when you have that, you have everything. Your life is harmonious. Your life is abundant as you choose it to be. And you're really coming from your power. And it's the greatest experience. And it's the easiest thing. It may require a little bit of work initially, but join us in Sedona. Do the work. And really take the step to go for real realization. So click the link below and join us. This is going to be an amazing experience.